Hello, my name is Frank Mendez, and I'm so glad that you've come and are visiting us at WaterDistillers.com. And we're here to make sure that what your interests are and what you're looking for.
Installing your Midi Classic water distiller. Select an area that will allow the distiller to remain level. Improper leveling could affect the production rate. The distiller must be located in close proximity to a water supply and an appropriate electrical supply source. The distiller should also be located in a well-ventilated room. The Midi Classic can be installed on a countertop, table, or on the optional floor stand. It must be at least 18 inches above the floor. This is for several reasons. Easier position to observe, maintain, and repair, easier to catch the flow from the boiling tank when you drain the residue water, and easier to catch the water from the storage tank. For electrical, you'll need an isolated 115 volt, 15 amp standard home circuit. Caution: the Midi Classic weighs approximately 42 pounds. Please use caution when removing it from the carton to prevent injury. Open the carton. Carefully lift the distiller out of the box so it remains in the upright position. Remove and identify all part kits as listed. With the pliers, remove the black plug in the fitting marked Distilled Water Outlet. If you're not installing a demand pump, insert the gray plug located in the parts kit bag into that fitting. Pump installation information is discussed later. Remove the wire tie inside the boiling tank used to restrain the float during transit. When connecting the tubing into the quick connect fittings, it is critical the tubing be fully inserted. The tubing should insert into the fitting 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. Failure to do so could cause water damage. We recommend that prior to inserting the tube, you mark the tubing 1/2 inch from the end being inserted into the fitting. After inserting, pull back on the tubing to verify it is attached securely. This should ensure the tubing is properly and fully installed. Also make sure the tubing is cut squarely and is free of rough edges. When disconnecting tubing, push in the little gray collet while pulling on the tubing until it releases. The Midi Classic comes standard with a saddle tapping valve. In some areas, a saddle tapping valve may not be permitted. In such instances, contact your local plumber for other water line connection options. Do not plug the unit into the power source until instructed to do so. And it's important not to use a hot water line for your supply line, but rather a cold water line. Do not turn the saddle tapping valve handle before or during installation. Be sure the piercing lance does not protrude beyond the rubber gasket. Failure to do this may result in damage to the piercing needle. To hook up the incoming water line, locate the items in the parts kit's bag. Turn off the household water supply. Remove the blue plug in the fitting marked raw water inlet. Install the 1/4 inch speed fit elbow into the fitting. Pull to test. Assemble the saddle tapping valve on the cold water pipe so the outlet is in a convenient direction. Tighten the screws evenly so the brackets are parallel. Tighten firmly, but not over tighten. Connect the 25 feet of 1/4 inch plastic tubing to the saddle tapping valve. Cut the required length of tubing to run from the saddle tapping valve to the distiller, but make sure you coil a minimum of 8 feet of tubing behind the distiller to allow it to be moved away from the wall for cleaning or service. Cut a 1-foot piece of 1/4 inch tubing off the end of the tubing to allow the strainer to be installed. Install the 1-foot piece of tubing into the elbow on the raw water inlet. Pull to test. Install a 1/4 inch compression nut onto the tubing coming from the distiller. Install the tubing on the strainer. Make sure the tubing is inserted fully into the strainer and the flow is in the correct direction. Tighten the nut firmly. Install a 1/4 inch compression nut onto the tubing coming from the saddle tapping valve and connect to the inlet steam of the strainer. Tighten firmly. Turn the saddle tapping valve handle clockwise until you feel it is firmly seated. Note you have now pierced the water supply line and the valve is closed. Turn the handle counterclockwise to open the valve. Turn on the household water supply and check the connections for leaks. Tighten where required. Installing the boiling tank drain valve. Remove the blue plug from the fitting marked boiling tank drain on the back of the unit. Ensure the Teflon tape has been applied to the threads of the fitting on the drain valve. Locate the drain valve from the parts kit bag and install it onto the boiling tank drain fitting. Tighten using an adjustable wrench. Tighten until the outlet is pointing down. Insert the drain extension tube into the drain valve. Make sure the compression sleeve is on the drain tube. Hold the tube in place, tightening the nut with a 5/8 inch wrench until the tube is secure. Loosen the nut slightly so the extension tube can be rotated yet is secure. Locate the storage tank faucet and rubber washer in the parts kit and install the rubber washer onto the stem of the faucet. Remove the red plug in the fitting on the front of the Midi Classic. Install the faucet into the fitting by rotating the faucet clockwise until tight. Locate the power cord in the parts kits bag. Install the female end of the power cord into the outlet on the back of the unit marked power cord. To steam sterilize your Midi Classic, locate the 12-inch piece of silicone tubing from the parts kit bag. Place one end on the condensing coil tube and one end on the tube to the storage tank. Plug the Distiller power cord into the power supply. Open the storage tank faucet and lock open. Place a bucket beneath to catch the condensation. Turn the fan switch to sterilize. This is located under the top plate. Turn the power switch to on. Remove the boiling tank lid and make sure the boiling tank is filling with water. When the water stops, the heating element will come on. Replace the boiling tank lid and tighten securely. With the heating element operating, the fan switch set to sterilize, the unit is steam sterilizing. Allow the unit to steam sterilize for 45 minutes to 1 hour. Turn the power switch off. Allow the unit to cool for approximately 15 minutes. Close the storage tank faucet. Remove the silicone tubing used for steam sterilization. Important to keep this tube for future use. If you purchase a demand pump, install it now by following the instructions included with the pump kit. Connecting the post filter. Locate the post filter and the two elbows in the parts kit bag. Remove the two yellow plugs in each end of the post filter by pushing the blue collets. Note, you may need a needle nose plier to get those plugs out. Insert an elbow into each end of the post filter. Insert fully. Install the post filter onto the condensing coil and storage tank outlet tubes. Insert fully and pull to test. Make note of the flow direction that is from the coil to the storage tank. The unit is now ready for operation. Turn the power switch to on, the fan switch to distill, and the unit will operate automatically and fill the storage tank with distilled water. This will take approximately 18 hours. The unit will then monitor your water usage and restart as you draw water from the storage tank. Discard the first batch of distilled water. Note, if you're installing a demand pump, make sure you test the connections before discarding the first batch. The pump will not operate until there's enough water in the storage tank. Do not use the demand pump to discard the first batch of distilled water.
So thanks again for being here, and hopefully as we discuss, we have different questions, or as you email me or correspond to me and our company, that we build a rapport and come up with information that's valuable to you personally, as well as others who you know, and you can share that information with. So thanks again, welcome, and from here you direct me as to where you want to go.